I'm a professor and the chair of the zoology department at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. I'm a basic biologist, and my research involves studying the basic mechanisms of embryonic development. We're interested in how cells move in early embryos, and our philosophy is you can learn a lot about a Mercedes by studying a Toyota, and if we're the Mercedes, then these little worms are the Toyota. They're sort of like fruit flies. You can use genetics, advanced microscopes to study how cells do what they do in embryos during early development. One of the fundamental things I think about discovery, about being a scientist or an artist or someone who's studying social phenomena or the intricacies of the human psyche, any of these things, is that we have the privilege of being co-discoverers of God's creation. These discoveries that we make are providing a sense of wonder. It's as if God is saying to us, "Here, look at this. What do you think about this?" It is giving us the opportunity to try to understand in a new way some of what God has created. And in that sense, I think being a scientist is a tremendous privilege. It helps me, at least, to rise beyond the mundane, to understand the larger context in which I'm doing my work.
I'm a geriatrician, which means I'm a physician who does specialty care and taking care of older adults. And most of my clinical care actually involves working with older adults who have memory problems, and the majority of those patients may go on to have Alzheimer's disease or other types of dementias. So most of my time is spent, again, as a physician taking care of these patients through a memory assessment clinic, and also I do clinical research trying to find ways to prevent Alzheimer's disease. We think about all the memories of things that have formed us, so the things we've read, the things we've prayed about, the people we've talked to, the things we've watched. All those things can shape who we are as people, and when people develop memory problems, they begin to lose that. I'm seeing patients in this really vulnerable time. They're struggling with the fear of losing their memory, their fear of what's going to happen to them, this sense of vulnerability that they'll lose control of themselves, of their cognitive abilities, maybe their physical abilities, and the family's right there with them, sensing that fear and frustration. As I step into a clinic room and I'm working with people who have Alzheimer's disease, or as I'm doing my clinical research trying to find ways to prevent Alzheimer's disease, I feel like in a small part God's allowing me to participate in His work of restoring His creation, that I'm being able to come alongside them to show them mercy, that I'm able to use the intellect He's given me to try to find ways to prevent this disease in the next generation, and really through that to help people flourish as humans the way He's created us and the way He wants us to be.
I am a creative director of Metal Leap Design, and we're a small design boutique in Decatur, Georgia. One of the important things of good design is that it's compelling, is that it causes something to stir within you that you find either peace with, or it's at odds with you. It might be at odds with your worldview, but that's what good design does. From our perspective, we feel deeply called to be adding to, being culture makers, being not imitators, but creating new things. And by doing that, we feel like we're taking part in redeeming of all things. And that is where we find our most pleasure and fulfillment in our work. If God is constantly redeeming, He's redeeming the world through us in what we do, whether we're accountants or we're attorneys or we're creative professionals. If you look at it that way, then everything that we do is redemptive. Everything is kind of additive, and it's building up towards this kind of redemptive end, and it happens in the smallest and subtlest of ways. So, in terms of design, it might be a little logo and somebody looks at it, and that, if it brings them a sense of peace or they're thinking about it creatively, then we're being additive and we're being used, and that's really powerful, and that's just it's a wonderful way of looking at being a creative professional, especially with what we do.